Hello and welcome to another episode of Cascadia Mountain Weather. My name is Kyle McCrone here with Wyatt Mullen. It's Thursday, January 25th, 2024, and this is the visible satellite imagery. We can see a plume of moisture coming from the tropics from around Hawaii, a classic pineapple express or atmospheric river headed our direction this weekend. So during this episode, we're going to talk about the recent weather and also look at the warm and rain that is unfortunately coming our way. So this is the percent of normal precipitation starting from about around Thanksgiving to now. And we're generally around 100% for most of the Cascades, maybe a little less in certain areas, especially North Cascades and the Northeast side. And the Olympics have definitely been dry, but other areas like the Oregon Cascades have been wetter. In our drought monitor, we've almost erased all the drought from Washington. I mean, some areas in the North Cascades, the Northeastern Washington still retain, but this is good to see. This is a snowtail map. So we have individual snowtail sites. So those are like actual instruments measuring the amount of snow water equivalent in the snowpack. And snow water equivalent is not necessarily snow depth. It's like how many inches of water are in the snow. So sometimes if you have more dense snow, then you might have a less snow depth, but it's still like a lot of snow water equivalent. So that's what really matters for kind of like the spring meltout. And it's grouped by region. So up north and in the Olympics, we're down 50, 60%, definitely one of the not as good years in the last decade or two up there. But in the central and southern Cascades in Washington, a lot of areas are pushing towards 100%, especially around the passes and east of the crest. It's really those lower elevation, especially further north, that are suffering more. So we have been catching up, which is good to see during this El Nino winter. We want to take a moment to highlight now also in the next graphic, we'll show a snowtail site near Snoqualmie Pass at about 4,000 feet. So it's 1,000 feet higher than the pass. And if you've been following with the conditions this week, it's not been good for skiing. It's been mixed precipitation, kind of sort of rain, kind of sort of snow, like pretty nasty out there, not good conditions. But the bright side of that is it's actually been pretty good moisture-laden base-building snow. And so snow water equivalent actually over the last week has bumped up even faster than normal. And we're basically at 99% for this location at 4,000 feet near Snoqualmie Pass. So we basically caught up here, which is great news. The quality of the snow might not be there right now, but the base is getting there. This is the typical freezing elevations or different temperatures for the vertical column of air above a specific location throughout the year. And so this location is Quileute, which is on the Washington coast. So it's generally a little warmer or at least more mild during the winter than, say, the Cascades. And the thing we wanted to point out is that the average freezing level actually keeps declining throughout January and February, all the way into early March. Early March is actually the coldest time of year in that mid-level atmosphere. And so in the Cascades, you'd see something similar, maybe just 1,000 feet lower or so. And we wanted to highlight this because it can feel like at this time of year, oh, it's still raining, the snowpack still sucks. Like, is there even hope for the winter? And while the lowlands are definitely coming out of winter into spring in March, it's in the mountains, it's still actually winter and it's approaching its coldest time of year. So we still got plenty of time to build more snow and have good powder days.
So this weekend is going to be kind of the story of the atmospheric river or the Pineapple Express. So called because generally you have a really long plume of moisture that extends all the way from the subtropics. So in this case, we can see Hawaii down here in the left-hand corner, and it goes all the way up and it's moving towards us. This is basically kind of the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere. And so these bright colors represent a lot more water. And this is going to come up here and end up going mostly to the north of us, although we will get some of kind of the southern bands. Unfortunately, what happens when you're on the southern side of this is that generally you will see quite warm temperatures, which is an element that we're going to see. So if we look at the freezing level right here, right, so this is for kind of 4 a.m. Thursday is this first mark on here. Then we have 4 a.m. Friday, 4 a.m. Saturday. You can see that For most of this week, we've been kind of in the 4 to 5,000 foot range for snow level. Sometimes it's been as low as 3,000 feet, and the passes have picked up snow, but around kind of 4,000 feet. And as we go into the weekend, we're really going to bump up into that 7 to 8,000 foot range. And that means that temperatures at the passes are going to be probably in the 40s, maybe even approaching 50 at some areas. And you're going to be seeing rain at almost every location. This is just highlighting from the National Weather Service, kind of that similar idea where we're around 4,000 feet for today and tomorrow. Then we're going to be bumping up to 7 to 8,000 feet going through the weekend. So going to be a lot of rain out there. We can look at the accumulated precipitation through kind of today through Sunday, and we're going to be seeing 3 to maybe 5 inches of snow of precipitation in the mountains, and most of that is going to fall as rain. Down in the lowlands, we're actually going to be seeing a decent amount as well, maybe 1 to 2 to maybe even 3 inches by Monday. Most of this is going to be going up into Vancouver Island, where they might get through kind of through this upcoming Wednesday, they might get 15 to 20 inches of precipitation. Their snowpack is really going to get wiped out because the mountains aren't as high up there, but we'll probably see a decrease in snow as well. This is looking at kind of current conditions and just highlighting that like most of the ski areas and passes are above freezing right now. The top of Alpental remains a little bit below freezing, so highlighting that 4,000 foot. And then this is kind of highlighting some like temperatures that are possible, especially Sunday into Monday. We might see temperatures approaching 60 degrees in the lowlands, maybe even honestly like close to 70 degrees down in Oregon. It's going to be a pretty warm, pretty tropical atmospheric river before things cool down next week. Wind is not going to be too strong, especially in the mountains throughout this weekend. We might see a little bit of blustery conditions, but since the atmospheric river is going to be mostly to our north, we'll miss most of those strong winds. We can look at kind of an hour by hour, specifically a 3 hour by 3 hour going forward. Let's just zoom in here, and we can see that Friday actually doesn't look too bad. So this is in the afternoon Friday. Like it's going to be relatively dry. The snow level is still going to be in that 4,000 foot range. But as we go into Friday night and into Saturday, we'll probably see some pretty hefty showers moving through, maybe upwards of an inch total of precipitation down in the lowlands and a couple inches through the day on Saturday. And then Sunday, we're also probably going to see quite a few showers going through, although later in the day Sunday, you might also have some dry periods. Probably not going to be sunny, but it will be at least a little bit drier. And we can look at this in terms of 24-hour precipitation amounts as well. Or sorry, this is accumulated. So looking kind of in that 5 to 7 inches up in the mountains, in the lowlands, maybe 1 to 3 inches. This is once again just highlighting like right now we have kind of lower snow levels. This blue represents snow, the green represents rain. And as we move through, this all becomes rain going into Friday and Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, it's like going to be relatively rainy, kind of stormy up there. And I'll hand it over to Kyle to talk about maybe what the conditions will be out on the slopes.
Thanks, Wyatt. So this is a webcam image from Hurricane Ridge. You can see it looks moist. There's water on the lenses. There's no snow on the trees anymore because it's gotten rained off. And this weekend is definitely going to be a pretty ugly weekend out in the mountains. We've had a lot of very dry snow for a few weeks that is now getting saturated with moisture, but it's still kind of dry lower down, and you have wetter, heavier snow on top. It's just a weird mixture that it's definitely going to lead to tough and less enjoyable travel conditions. So it's, Friday might be a decent day to at least get out, even if, say, the skiing conditions aren't great. But if you want to go for a Nordic ski or a snowshoe, it'd be a good day to get out. This weekend looks flat out really not very enjoyable unless you really feel like you need to get out there. I would tend to look at other types of activities this weekend. Here's just another picture showing kind of wet, windy, honestly very uncomfortable conditions. And you got to keep in mind, things will get soaked. Hypothermia can be really quick to set in those kind of nasty conditions. So definitely be careful if you're heading into the backcountry. This is the snow depth. So, most places have actually declined slightly over the last week. But as we said, the snow water equivalent is still actually going up. That's just a lot of like light, lower density snow tending to settle. So Snoqualmie Pass and Paradise did actually increase in snow depth, but a lot of the places kind of stayed around the same or slightly decreased. So the Northwest Avalanche Center would be a good resource to look at if you're heading out into the backcountry. The avalanche danger for Thursday and Friday is not that significant, but it's definitely going to ramp up over the weekend with this rainfall. And, you can probably expect a decently widespread avalanche cycle to go on Saturday and Sunday. So keep your eyes out for that if you're going into any avalanche terrain. Now, after this warm period, things do look a little better, heading more towards seasonal averages in the long term. So 8 to 14 day, we're looking, right now they're saying around near normal chance precipitation. And then temperature, we're also probably going to be trending back down to around typical, maybe slightly below average. Finally, we'd like to give a big thanks to our different Patreon supporters. So these individuals for $5 a month support our operation, but then we also give them detailed recreation recommendations each Thursday night. And so during the recent cold spell, we were able to give a little more specific information about, say, avoiding the passes, avoiding the easterly winds, and where to find the best skiing, where to find the best ice. So if that kind of information interests you, we encourage you to check out our site. You can go to cascadiamountainweather.com, which will take you to our Patreon, or you can also look at the link in the show notes. So thanks to everyone for watching. Hopefully we have better news to bring regarding the snowpack next week. But I think it's just one of those weekends where you gotta let it ride, let the snowpack do its thing. And we still got a lot of winter ahead of us. Thank you.